All right, let's do this. Daily chart, S&P 500. Let's take a look. Big down day, 73 and 3/4. I told my members, I think it was Sunday, that I thought Monday would be an up day and then the pullback would start on Tuesday, but it looks like it might have started today. I was looking at this kind of configuration over here where we had this pullback day, a little down, and then 2 green days and a down. I thought we'd get something like that. We kind of got something like that. I think we're going to see more pullback begin to happen here. This was an attempt of the market to get a rebound. I don't think it's going to happen. That was a lazy fake attempt. We got crossover going on here. I think the market's in trouble. It's going to pull back. Could be choppy chop, but my instincts tell me this has got some room to go. And we'll see how it goes. I think we're going to get down into here like this. Price, I think, is going to begin to roll over the later we get into October. Okay. Could be a bounce. You know, this could have been like a little bit of a low that came a little late here. Maybe it bounces then down. Either way, I think after, even if there is a bounce in here, I think we're going to go down after that. Okay, let's look at the trade of the day. Let's get right to it, and then we'll talk about the other products. Yeah, I see one here already. Let's look at the 15-minute chart. Okay, there we go. 15-minute chart. This one is telling the story. This is absolutely what people are looking for right here. 15-minute chart. Right here at 10:30. There was also a really good one at 1:15 in the morning, which most people here in the States are probably sleeping. But there's one right here, 10:30 in the morning here, Central Time. Look at that signal. I mean, guys and gals, does it get any better right at the peak? It says, hey, I think there's a trade here. Bam. And boy, was it Get Us Plus indicator. Once again, this indicator going on for like 3 years now has been absolutely smoking it. And what a perfect signal, pretty much right at the peak here. Nailed it. Let's keep the top. We'll just eliminate the top here and say that you entered 57.80. And even if you got out at 57.50, still 30-point trade. Monstersville. We know what to do. Divide by 2. You get 15. Add a couple zeros. And there you go. Put a dollar sign in front. $1,500 day for 1E mini and $150 day for a micro. There it is. For those that like things super quick because they can't get out of that fast life living in those big cities, there you go. You can go and have your microwave dinner and have microwave sex. The rest of us are going to look at the rest of the products. So we're going to start with the Dow Jones Transportation. Go back to the daily chart. And, you know, just really just a doji day. Even though the S&P 500 was way down, transportation had a little bit of a pause going on here. Just sitting right there. Not much of a day. It pulled way back and then bounced all the way back up. Looks like transportation is trying to make a bottom here. So we'll keep an eye on that. October 27th is the cycle low there. Let's look at the Russell 2000. Russell 2000. Daily chart. Yep, a down day here. And it also looks like it's trying to make a bounce. I don't know if it's going to do it. It may do more of this. Okay, very flat, just kind of flat going on here. It is a little bullish, but not by much. You know, this just looks like it came up here. It didn't have much of a cycle low here, kind of just chopping through this cycle low area for September 23rd. Looks like it's struggling to make any kind of gains going back up. October 15th over here. And 11.19 over there. Okay, duplicate. Let's slide it over there. A little bit of that going on. We can put November 19 here on the Russell 2000. So that's what's going on there. Okay, I think it's going to struggle probably to make any kind of bounce. So look at the NASDAQ. Also down day here, just like the S&P 500. October 8th, which is tomorrow, is a little bit of a cycle low for this. But in all honesty, it's not much of a cycle low. So yeah, you see it there, you see it there, a little something here, but not much. Little something there. Okay, this cycle low, because it's kind of in the middle of this big cycle, may not see much going on here. October 16th, could we get a big decline October 16th? Let me just take a look at this big green cycle. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, it could happen. There's a lot of stuff going on here between now and the middle of November. Okay, a lot going on. So I do think price is going to slowly erode the deeper we get into the middle of autumn, right? October 16th, November 13th. I think prices will erode. Yeah, there could still be a bounce up in here, right? It still may get up here and do some bouncy bounce. But I think overall, we probably going to see an erosion in price. Probably. Okay, let's look at the SPX. Well, of course, we already looked at the futures, but we'll look at the SPX anyway. Big down day, 52.5. Looks like the S&P 500 is in trouble here. Wants to do this. Almost exactly the same as the futures. Okay, let's look at the Nikkei 225. This would be the Japanese market. What is going on there? Big down day there too. Let's get the daily chart in here. November 11th is its cycle low. That cycle is not super well formed, just kind of So not putting a whole lot in that cycle, but it does line up fairly well with the other indices. Looks like the Nikkei 225 is trying to make a bounce here. It is bullish. A little bit different behavior than the other indices. It's doing this, where the other ones are kind of chopping this way. This one's making its way up. What is the Japanese yen doing? And by the way, as I'll mention again, I think it's October 28th, the CME exchange is going to put out a Japanese yen micro product. Really nice, micro futures. And they're going to do the same thing for the Nikkei 225. There's going to be a micro product for that. So keep your eye out for that. Pretty cool stuff. Japanese yen today, small green day. Let's get the daily cycle up here. Looks like to me there might be another cycle forming here. Kind of hard to know where this bottom is yet. Hasn't happened. Okay, there could be a cycle over here somewhere. Probably going, matching some of the indices. And, you know, it may be something kind of like this, right? Something kind of like over here. It might be something like that. Might be something kind of like that, okay? I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Yep. So we're going to wait for that to find an anchor, and then we'll come back and revisit this. But for now, it looks like the Nikkei 225 is making its way down. And, you know, I didn't think this was going to happen. A few weeks ago, the Nikkei 225 was, the Japanese yen was so strong. But look at it now. Looks like it wants to go negative territory. And we could get some negative momentum here. And that's gonna be kind of a big deal for the Japanese yen. Okay. Let's look at the euro dollar. Euro dollar also making its way down. Its cycle low was the 3rd, but we're past that now, and we're on the 7th, and it's trying to make a bottom. I think hasn't gone negative yet, but it's pretty close. As I said, if the euro dollar survives this negative drop and stays positive momentum, get ready to go long, but we're not there yet. I wouldn't touch it yet. We got to wait to see what it does. British pound. British pound. Kind of a similar story, but stronger product, right? You really didn't have a low at all here on September 26th. Heading for this cycle low on October 14th, which seems to be fairly reliable. Okay, October 14th. Looks like it's trying to bottom, but it hasn't done it yet. This is stronger than the euro. If it does do this bouncy bounce and it stays positive momentum, I think the British pound is going to be a nice product to go long. But again, just like the euro, not yet, too soon. Got to wait. Let's go look at gold. And we'll look at silver too. We will look at silver as well. Daily chart. A little something on the 26th. Look like it happened on the 30th instead. And gold is just tracking sideways. Tracking sideways. Right up here between 2650 and 2700. Just tracking sideways. It's trying to make, I would think at some point this downward pressure is going to take effect. I see it starting to cross over here. Gold probably will drop the closer it gets to 28. Except these cycles are just like not very, this one's kind of good, kind of okay. Yeah, okay, there's something there. There was nothing there. Yeah, I mean, it's just like these cycles are just not super strong. I should say they are very strong. They don't have a sense of pullback or weakness associated with them. Okay, so it's kind of hard to say right now, what is this going to do? I would think eventually this downward pressure is going to begin to take over and push gold down. But with the way the world economy is, man, even if gold pulls back, I said it before, I'll say it again. If Kamala, or however you pronounce her name, gets into the White House, I think gold's going to go ballistic. It may not do it all in 2024, but it's going to go nuts. It's going to pop. It's going to go to 3,000. Okay, who knows? Maybe 2025, 2026, whatever. Okay, it's going to go up there. It's going to take off because nobody's fooled by the Marxist left. Nobody. I mean, nobody. Not even Democrats themselves. They know it's all baloney, and nobody behind the scenes honestly believes that she's going to do a damn thing to help rescue America from its demise. Okay, so don't hold your breath on that one. If Trump gets in there, as I said before, I think it'll slow things down a bit. He's going to try to mitigate all this nasty stuff going on in America. We'll have to see how aggressive he gets. He's promised to do a bunch of arrests. I think he's going to follow through with that, by the way. I think a lot of people are going to go to jail if he gets into the White House. And that's why they're working overtime to try to assassinate him, if you want me to be honest about it. And they deserve it. They've been so nasty for more than 8 years. But he may not make it into the White House, guys. I don't know yet. I'm hopeful. Of course, I'd rather have him in there than Kamala T. But since we're talking about how does this affect the markets and trading and economics and all that stuff, that's really where I'm coming from in this video. I think gold will still go to 3,000 even if Trump gets in there. It'll just be a little bit slower about getting there. And the reason I say that, because you all know what I'm going to say next, nobody's talking about the $35 trillion in national debt. Nobody wants to address it. They all pretend like it's just going to go away by itself, but no damn way is that going to happen. And that bad boy is a one huge rooster or hen, depending on how you look at it. It's going to come home to roost, and there's no getting away from it. It's going to crush the United States. It's going to crush it, guys. There's no getting away from this. They're going to have to come up with something extraordinary. If they try to wipe out this debt, just like brush underneath the carpet, there's going to be a war. Those other nations that are holding massive amounts of debt, I don't think they're just going to say, oh, no problem, America. We don't mind you not paying back our trillions of dollars. So there's going to be hell to pay one way or the other, and America's going to pay it. For now, gold looks like it's tracking sideways. I do think it's going to decline here a little bit. Unless it does one of these deals and just goes back up. If it does that, it hits a zero line here and goes back up, that's going to be so freaking bullish if that happens. If it does that, folks, comes down here or just even here and doesn't get to the bottom line and does this bouncy thing, forget about it. Forget about it. Huge. That'll be massive. It'll zip up to 2,800, 2,900 if it does that. It's going to take off. Okay, let's look at gold. I'll use the 1,000 ounce futures here. That's where I have my cycles set up. Look at gold, man. Bully boy gold. Still sitting right around $32. It has given a little bit back today. Got up to 33 and almost a quarter. I think that was on Friday. Gold also looks like, silver, also looks like it wants to give it up here. Hasn't quite crossed over yet. Heading towards October 31st. Yeah, I think it's going to give it up a little bit here too, just like gold. Not sure. We have to wait to see. Silver looks a little bit weaker than gold. I think it's probably going to give something up here before this is all said and done. I don't know. Maybe it gets back down to 29. comes all the way back down here, kind of hits this 28, 29 area, and then bounces again. That's possible. Okay. I am acquiring quite a bit of silver right now as a hedge. I want to mention to anybody else, especially my members, if you're thinking about acquiring silver as a hedge, I think it's a good idea. Gold also. Be really careful. I mentioned this before, going to mention it again. Be really careful. A lot of fake silver coming out of China. Especially the 1 ounce rounds. Watch it. Okay. Let's just pick I think it's pronounced APMEX, APMEX. They're one of the big dealers. There's other ones as well. But APMEX flat out says, and the others probably claim they do it too, but APMEX actually proves they do it. I'm not promoting them, just saying what they do. They check every single coin with metallurgic testing. Anything they buy, when they go out into the secondary market or whatever market they're going to buy silver, they test that silver before they give the money. They test it all. They make sure that all their bullion is tested metallurgically. Okay, so that's a good thing. But even with that said, the Chinese are replicating some 1 ounce round, 1 ounce rounds. Okay. And the ones they're replicating, I would stay away from those. You need to do a little research. I'm not going to dive too deep into it now, but the ones that they're replicating, just stay away from them. Okay. So if you go on to APMEX or some of the big sites, okay, and you're going to buy silver, just make sure you stay away from the ones the Chinese are replicating. Okay. Because they're not going to replicate all of them. So I'm not going to talk too much in detail about what I've purchased. I kind of mentioned to some of my members on Discord server, but publicly I'm not going to talk too much about it. Just know that if you're going to purchase silver, the Chinese are working overtime to replicate these 1 ounce rounds. And I mean, they are making it look authentic. Basically, it's probably like a little bit of silver over the top of brass or zinc, okay? And there are ways to detect it, but most retail buyers are not going to be able to detect it until it's too late after you purchase it, okay? So be super careful out there. Okay, enough of that. I like silver. I like purchasing silver as a hedge from reputable distributors who test their bullion. Okay, I don't mind paying a little extra for bullion that's been tested because I want the real stuff. All right, let's move on to crude oil. Crude oil on a rampage. Higher than I thought we'd get. I thought crude oil would get to 76 and pull back. Hasn't done it. Looking super strong. Trying to break over into positive momentum. Crude oil looks strong. Wow. It is at 74 here on the SMI, which is pretty strong. It's been a while since it's been the high. It's been to 81 over there. 75, 77. Okay, so anything getting into really high 70s and near 80, I would say it may start to stall. So I think crude oil is going to stall up in here. I don't know exactly where. Today was a huge day. The war that continues in the Middle East between Israel, Iran, Hamas, Hezbollah has got everybody super nervous. And Iran does produce, I think, like 4% of all the oil in the world, something like this. So guess what? They are going to have an impact on crude oil prices, and that's what we're seeing here, I believe. Okay, so this could go on a monster run. Do you remember back, I think it was COVID or before COVID, there was a big crude oil took a massive dump down to like negative. Yeah, that was planned. And guess what? You can bet your bottom dollar that there are going to be certain entities in the world that are going to absolutely take advantage of Iran, the Iran squeeze, and they may be like bombed into oblivion by Israel and affect oil prices. You can bet your bottom dollar is going to be those taking advantage of the prices going up. So guess what? This is not your typical market conditions that are driving crude oil up this high, right? It's that because we are in a cycle where the timing's this way. So we've got cycle dynamics helping us, plus world conditions happen at the same time. crude oil could go much higher, could hit $80. I mean, yeah, $80 up here. Because this is kind of a threat. This $78 is kind of a natural resistance points. We can see it here, right? The next one is 80. So, from what I can tell, it may stall a little bit here soon, but 80 is possible. Look at this cycle. Look how beautiful this cycle was. Oh my goodness. Talk about timing. Is that beautiful or what? I'm telling you guys and gals, if you don't like cycle analysis, you're just hurting yourself. Cycle analysis is a beautiful thing. All right, crude oil, I think there's a little more left in this, but could run out of gas soon. We got to keep a close eye on this to see what it does when it runs out of gas. Let's look at corn. Corny corn. What has happened with corny corn? A little bit of pullback going on here with corn. October 10th. I talked about this, that I thought it would get up to 420. It did. I said, okay, 430 looks good. I said it might hit 440. It hasn't. And guess what? Now we got this October 10th cycle low kind of coming into play here. And it's just 3 days away. I think it's going to pull back into this cycle low. And then it may re-engage, right? And if it does, that'll be a long going that way out into that new cycle. Okay, so that's my take on corn. Let's look at XLP. It's taken a big nosedive. It's about to go negative momentum here. Both lines, we already got negative momentum on the fast line. Slow line hasn't gone negative yet. So guess what? October 20th, looks like that's just where this baby's headed. Right down into there. And XLP could go negative. Wow. I mean, I never would have thought that. Look at this thing. It was so monster. I thought it would get down here, kind of hit this bottom line, and then do a little bouncy bounce, but it didn't do it. It went super negative, and now this thing could just like be down here for a while. And yeah, the one thing I want to mention again here is there could be a lot of synchronicity. As I mentioned before, this is super important. You got to get this. A lot of synchronicity on all the products as we go into autumn and election season here in the United States of America. That means indices and other products, currency futures and corn, and just a lot of different products could start to pull back, right? The Japanese yen, all right, all the products I cover, a lot of these could pull back in a very synchronous way with indices. So be aware of that. Okay, that's extremely common when you get this big pullback going on in indices. Sometimes the commodities and futures will follow them. All right, so be careful of that as we go into autumn here, right? I think that's it. I covered everything I could possibly cover. Become a member, $7.99 a month. The description and the instructions are in the description, I should say. Read it, join it, make some bank. Talk to Allroos again next time.